Amazing. Well, hello everyone to those of you that have joined us. And thank you for joining us tonight. My name is Luis Trujillo, and I'm one of the two associate directors of college counseling at St. Anne's and the moderator of tonight's panel. On behalf of the college offices at St. Anne's, Packard Collegiate, BFS, and Berkeley Carroll, we want to welcome parents, guardians, and students to tonight's webinar on studying the arts in college. So before we start going into the webinar, it might be helpful to maybe begin our conversation with a basic definition, rather basic. What do we mean when we refer to the arts? Generally, while I was assembling this panel, I was referring to the visual and the performing arts, which includes music, dance, drama, painting, drawing, photography, filmmaking. I could go on and everything in between. So, tonight's session will be divided in two parts. First, we will hear and learn more about the fantastic schools represented on this panel tonight. They'll share distinctive qualities of their programs and dig into the relevant application and artistic review processes. And then the second half will be a bit more philosophical. We will discuss broadly why an arts education is important in 2026 and why students should consider studying the arts in college. We will try to wrap things up around 7:20, leaving maybe 5 to 10 minutes for Q&A. I know John from Juilliard and I are in New York, so we know it's a delightful evening in New York tonight. So we'll make sure to end by 7:30 so you have some time back on your hands. And if you have any questions, feel free to add them to the chat. I'll be looking at that. We're also recording the session. So if you miss a detail, your respective college offices will send you that recording after tonight. So let's maybe sort of start at the very top. Before we start our conversation, if each of you panelists could share your name, your title, and your institution, that would be great. And just so that it's great, alphabetical, why don't we start with CalArts?
Hello, everyone. My name is Siobhan Totten Garner. I am the Executive Director of Admissions at CalArts, California Institute of the Arts, which is located in Valencia, California.
Wonderful. So I think it's Juilliard.
My name is John Herbert. I'm the Associate Provost for Admissions at Juilliard here in New York. Delighted to be here.
I believe I'm next.
Yes.
Apologies. My name is Josh Teester. I'm Director of Admission and Enrollment Management at the Oberlin Conservatory of Music.
Amazing. And Steve.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. I'm Steve Mineo. I'm SCAD Senior Vice President for Admission, and we're located here in Savannah, Georgia.
Wonderful. Well, thank you. This is a fantastic set of folks and institutions. So let's start with the first part of the webinar. So given the range of institutions represented here tonight, maybe in about 5 minutes or so, can each of you speak about your specific arts program? And in doing so, please feel free to elaborate on its distinctive or distinguishing qualities. Is it an art school, a conservatory experience, a strong liberal arts program, a combination? Any information that you're willing to share. And why don't just for the sake of sort of order, let's just start alphabetically. So, Siobhan, why don't you take us on that?
Well, all right. I'm happy to kick us off here. Again, Siobhan with CalArts, California Institute of the Arts. We are a small, private, independent arts performing and visual arts college located in Valencia, California, which is Southern California, which is about 30 miles, 30 minutes, give or take traffic outside of downtown LA, which could take you 27 minutes to get there or an hour and 27 minutes to get there. But we are in the Los Angeles area. We were founded just a little over 50 years ago, so we're fairly relatively newer college on the scene. But we were founded by Walt Disney and his brother as a place for artists to be in within a community of artists. We're a multidisciplinary institution where students are able to really move across different areas, different disciplines very fluidly. We're one of the few independent art schools that offer both performing and visual arts, as well as literary arts. With our institute, we are small, like I said. We have right now currently a little over 1,200 students. We've been as many as 1,500 students. So our enrollment ebbs and flows between 12 and 1,500 students, and that's across undergraduate and graduate students. So that would be in all of our different areas. We offer programs in our School of Art, School of Dance, School of Music, School of Film Video, which also offers our animation program, School of Music, and School of Theater. We also have our School of Critical Studies, where our creative writing program, but that's a graduate only program. So, with all of those different areas, our students have some flexibility of being able to really build their individual path of what they're interested in following for their creative arts. We are not a conservatory, but we say that we're conservatory like. So when you apply and when you enroll, you're going to start right away in your area of study, but you do have some flexibility. We're really founded on experimentation, conceptual art, and really cross-pollination in between the different work that you would be doing. We encourage our students to really take creative risks so that they can continue to develop their personal artistic voice. And really, we're a space for you not only to learn how to become an artist, but you're already an artist. It's really where you're going to grow and develop your artistic craft. So I'll kind of end right there just so I can leave enough time for my colleagues to introduce their colleges as well.
So the Juilliard School, we are a conservatory located here in the heart of New York City at Lincoln Center. We offer undergraduate degrees and graduate degrees in 3 different disciplines. So we have music, which is our largest division. We have dance and we have drama. So we award the Bachelor of Music and then also the Bachelor of Fine Arts for our dance and drama programs. And in the music division, we go up to the doctoral level. I would also say, since I was speaking to a New York based audience, we do have the prep division as well. So that's a great way to sort of sample that while you're in school here. We have a suite of summer offerings as well that are starting this summer. It's about three weeks long. Um, so we're a world-class institution in music, dance, and drama. We pride ourselves on providing sort of the best in class, best across the globe education for students who are really talented and for whom music, dance, and drama is sort of that fire that lights their love of learning and for life. I mean, I would say when you're thinking about this as a creative person, I think like it's wonderful you found the thing that excites you, the thing that's going to, I think, sort of keep you motivated on that path of learning. And so I think that there are many different routes. And for some of you, it will be, wanting to be fully in that conservatory environment at Juilliard. You're surrounded by, actors, dancers, musicians, playwrights, folks who are sort of in this, living and breathing this sort of cross-disciplinary space. But it's all arts all the time. Obviously, we do have an incredible liberal arts program. We do have relationships with Barnard and Columbia. We have cross registration programs and a dual undergrad and master's program as well. But Juilliard in the conservatory space is really for folks who know that living and breathing this sort of creative performing artist life is what they need to sort of at this moment in their life to move forward. Um, Being at Lincoln Center is incredibly exciting. New York is a global cultural capital, and Lincoln Center and sort of that Carnegie Hall, Dizzy is this. We're sort of right at the nexus of all of that. So I think that there's an incredible education that's going on in the classroom, in your performance ensembles, whether you're playing an orchestra, a jazz band, whether you're a dancer, whether you're in dramatic productions. So there's all this sort of happening within the school, and then you're being taught by these world-class artists who are part of this fabric of Lincoln Center, of the arts in New York, across the globe. So, for example, if let's say you're an orchestral musician, we're literally across from David Geffen Hall, and your teacher maybe playing across the street. All of our students do get free tickets to Lincoln Center, also Carnegie Hall, things like that. So you have this world-class education going on within the building's walls, certainly within Lincoln Center. Then New York itself it's just simply, I'm a big, I wouldn't recommend you do this, but when I was a freshman, instead of buying my textbooks, I bought all the Mozart recordings of Daniel Barenboim. And I had this Tuesday where I was just kind of like, oh, I'm kind of tired. And just to be able to like go to Carnegie Hall and see that, and it provided this lift. So there's this experience that's sort of, I think, sort of like that stokes the flames of loving your art. I obviously were, across from, we have the Met Opera, the dance space across the way as well. So there's all of this happening. I also think that Julia it's a global community. We have graduates who are across the globe. We also do have a campus in Tianjin, China. So it is, as you're thinking about the choice you're making for what type of school you want to go to, also thinking about just the network of folks that you'll be joining after graduation as well. And as someone who's about a year so I came to Juilliard about a year ago, I think sort of much like any freshman sort of completing their experience in the first go around the sun, I've really been struck by the community of kindness that exists in the conservatory. So I think that it is a place where you can be the best world-class artist that you can be, but also it's a community of incredible support and resources, even down to the students. I was listening to a young woman who just is completing her bachelor's degree, and she was talking about taking an audition with so many of the folks at her studio. She did win the audition about not so she was saying from this perspective, but it's really talking about how the fact that it was all the folks who were going on to this audition really supported one another throughout the preparation and that journey. And so I think Juilliard is a really compelling choice for those of you who are excited to be in a conservatory environment. We're about 850 students in a city, living and breathing, whether that's dance, music, or drama on a daily basis. And again, there's each of you, as you sort of go through this process, will discover what the right fit is for you, and know that you will always end up where you're supposed to be.
Yeah, hi, good evening, everyone. I'm gonna first apologize for the roughness of my voice and the coughing and hacking that I might be doing through this. I'm having my annual crash off the cycle, seasons change, I get sick. But so please bear with me. So the Oberlin Conservatory of Music, we're a conservatory of music that shares a campus with the Oberlin College of Arts and Sciences. So we're known as just Oberlin or the Oberlin College and Conservatory. So we're in essence a standalone conservatory of music, sharing the campus with a leading liberal arts college in Oberlin College of Arts and Sciences. In the conservatory, we focus primarily, obviously, in music. So one of the defining characteristics for Oberlin is that we're a predominantly undergraduate institution. That's one of the things that really makes us stand apart, I guess, from some of our peer institutions, and that about 95% of our student body at Oberlin is undergraduate. So we're really geared towards offering the Bachelor of Music. We offer it in classical and jazz, instrumental and vocal performance, as well as composition. We offer a program called TIMARA, which is an acronym that stands for Technology in Music and Related Arts, which, for lack of a better term, I'll call electronic music composition, just to help everyone understand what that might be. Musical theater and recording arts and production are the majors that we focus within in the conservatory. The nice thing about the undergraduate focus here is that you're not competing with graduate students for performance opportunities or opportunities to have your scores or compositions read by ensembles. So it's really just an environment that's geared towards undergraduate student education and the opportunities that come along with that. It also means that you don't have graduate students teaching any of your courses or private lessons. So it's just very much about faculty interaction for undergraduate students. Size-wise, the Conservatory of Music is about 650 students, so we're kind of a medium-sized conservatory. The college is about I'm sorry, no, they're not. They're about 2,500 students or so. So we're all together about 3,000, 3,100 on campus. The college, I would say, is another big defining characteristic for us as a conservatory of music. It's very unique to share a campus with a College of Arts and Sciences of this caliber and this type. So the benefits of that are that our conservatory students always have access to academic coursework outside of the conservatory. So it's not about bringing liberal arts faculty over to sit with musicians. It's about pushing the musicians out to see music in the world in broader contexts. And so they go out and take courses in anything that interests them. All the academic coursework is elective, so you're choosing courses around your interests. You can yield minors from the College of Arts and Sciences, and then about a third of our conservatory students are in the what's called double degree program, where they're obtaining both a Bachelor of Music from the conservatory and a Bachelor of Arts or Bachelor of Science from the College of Arts and Sciences. So we attract a lot of students who not only have the eye towards being the musician, and that's really their focus. That's about two-thirds of the conservatory, but we attract a lot of the students that also have very strong academic interests in addition to that, and they want to live those worlds simultaneously. So the undergrad focus is a big definer for us. The college access is a big definer for us. And the last thing I'll also talk about really is community. I feel like at Oberlin it's a very tangible thing. And when you talk to students about what defines the education for them, they're often talking about the community. I think the purpose for that, and one of the things that also defines us, is that we're a residential campus. So when students come to Oberlin, they live on Oberlin's campus the 4 or maybe 5 years that they're there if they're getting the double degree program, and it creates a really strong community amongst the student body. Most of our faculty are tenure track positions instead of adjunct. They live in Oberlin, so there's just a really strong community sense, which is really important for you all as students as you're building up your network of people that are going to help launch you into your career when you get out of school. Yeah, that's Oberlin.
And again, good evening, everyone. Steve Mineo from SCAD. It stands for the Savannah College of Art and Design. And we are one of the largest art and design universities in the world, one of the largest private art and design universities in the world. We have over 18,000 students that represents all 50 states, more than 140 countries. Our international population is about 24, 25% on any given year. And we have over 40 majors, 75 minors, so over 100 different degree programs. We're really the university that if you want to work in the art world, but you want to combine that business element and that creative technology element, that's what we tend to focus on. So our majors, they run from things like film and television to animation to even robotics. So we have this wide range of programs available to all of our students that want to work in the creative fields, but also want to have some of that business element, some of that more corporate element that comes into it. And that's really what we focus on. We have a campus here in beautiful Savannah, Georgia. It's not 71 degrees here. It's a little bit warmer, but we have our large campus here in Savannah, a historic city, over 80 buildings throughout the historic district of Savannah. We also have a campus in Atlanta, Georgia. So again, in the capital of Georgia. We have a study abroad location in the south of France in Lacoste that we use for our students to go and have that really immersive study abroad experience. And then we also operate a virtual campus for our students who are looking to take their classes if they're working an internship on the West Coast or they happen to be overseas. They're able to actually continue in their degree programs and take those classes virtually. With us, I think the real focus of when you come to SCAD or a place like SCAD is on that career preparation. That's what we hang our hat on. That's the most important element to us, is focusing on how we're developing students to go on to lead companies or to start their own companies through startup engines, or just to be their own creative entrepreneur and go out into the world. So our focus is on developing students, providing them a really well-rounded curriculum that dives into the creative elements as well as there's a strong liberal arts background. And then the business side of it as well, the entrepreneurship and business classes, so that we can help our students go on to lead all these big companies. So really proud of where we are. We have 60,000 alums all around the world working at the majority of the Fortune 500 companies, and just real happy to answer any questions later and be here today. Thank you.
Wow, what an introduction. I mean, these are amazing, amazing places. So given the range of schools here, what makes a successful applicant to your program? And I know things are going to look different for each, but maybe just sort of like some quick highlights. Are you looking at a specific course on the high school transcript? Are you looking for a particular extracurricular or a specific skill set? Anything that might come to mind. We can popcorn this as we go along.
I could start and say just for CalArts, because we are a little bit more unique with our applications and our programs that we offer. As I mentioned before, at CalArts, you do apply directly to the program that you're interested in, but you may have interest in many different areas. So the portfolio may be very versatile with what you're providing. We do provide on our website specific guidelines of what you need if how many pieces of this, or if it's an audition for our music program or theater or dance, what type of things that they would like to see in an audition. But overall, what we're looking for is to see the creativity of the student. We're not looking for anything very prescriptive. We also try not to be very intentional of what we're looking for because we want students to show us who they are. Again, because we are rooted in experimentation or risk taking. On our art side, it's more about conceptual art. We are really a school based in storytelling. So, what are you trying to say? What is your message? What type of work you're interested in doing? Sometimes students don't have access to certain things as well, such as in our film program. We've a lot of students that are interested in filmmaking, but they don't have access to equipment and lighting and different things. And so many students just recorded on their cell phone, on their iPhone. And so we want to see your ideas and not necessarily about the technicality about it. We really want to see what is your story that you're telling? What type of ideas do you have that you're looking to share with the world? What type of curiosity do you have? Are you trying new approaches? Are you experimenting with what is um, self-portrait? We have a lot of, like, especially in the art side, that's a common thing in the high school side to do a self-portrait. Maybe it's not about you got the eyes technically correct, but maybe you're using different mediums and maybe you're using, yarn from your grandmother's pillow that you always used to use when you went to visit her. And so that's telling a story about who you are. And so again, at CalArts, a successful applicant is really just showing us who you are and giving us a little bit of an idea of what type of art making that you are interested in doing as you want to continue to grow in the artistic realm.
Nice. I'll offer that in music in particular, it's a very faculty driven process, and I think also in visual arts in some capacities. And I don't want to speak for visual arts because it's not what we do, but so the faculty are very subjective in what they're looking for in students, to be honest. So in some ways, it's very similar in that they're looking for you to represent who you are as a musician, what you're bringing to the pieces, what your personality is, and what it's like to work with you as a student. So faculty are looking not only for students that do have a certain level of technical proficiency. So one of the things I'll say might be a little different in my answer to this is that we are trying to, for instance, field a number of specific ensembles. And so there's an expectation that our students are able to walk in and perform at a particular level of technical proficiency to be able to perform in these ensembles. Like at Oberlin, we require students to be in major ensemble every semester and they're not tiered. So you'll walk in as a freshman and be performing with fourth year seniors, and there's an expectation that comes along with that. So there's a level of technical proficiency, but once you've demonstrated that level of technical proficiency, you'll still have to differentiate yourself. And the question there is, what type of musician are you in terms of your musicality and the person you are, and what it's like to work with you. That specific question about the certain courses that we're looking for, I will debunk the idea that we don't look at academics. Like we do actually care how you've been doing in school, right? So like some thumbs up from my colleagues. I think it's worth mentioning that I think the difference in a lot of what you see in college admissions is that there's a very prescribed methodology for what they're looking for, a specific number of, say, sciences or foreign languages or et cetera, a heavy lean on AP or IB coursework. We consider all these things, but at least for us at Oberlin, we're looking a little more generally in terms of how good the student is. Are you taking courses that you're being effective in? Are you going to classes? Are you succeeding in what you're doing? Are you demonstrating that you're going to be a good student? So really for us, it starts with that audition. Faculty are heavily involved. We're looking for students that can handle the program, bring something to the program. And once we see that that's there, then we kind of look at everything else, make sure you're academically sound, that the teachers that are recommending you are saying positive things, things to support your candidacy.
I would piggyback on that. At Juilliard, we are looking for world-class musicians, dancers and actors. And so the audition is sort of that primary moment for you to show your artistry. That said, you'll find audition requirements, but I think it's about within those parameters making choices, whether it's about your monologue, whether it's your solo and your excerpt, if it's your dance solo, that really shows you at your best. So when you sort of see these audition requirements, I think it's really about comparing apples to apples instead of apples to oranges. So it's not that one excerpt or solo is better than the other. It's simply that our faculty in this faculty-driven process are looking for the potential with the sort of even playing field of we want to hear something like this, we want to see something like this. And so I think it's about taking a look, particularly for those of you who are juniors at the moment. It doesn't hurt for anyone right now, but to take a look at the requirements for your audition and just to familiarize yourself with so what are the general parameters and what are the pieces, what are the things in your portfolio of creativity and what are your skill sets that sort of align with these sort of broader requirements that we're asking for at the audition. So the audition is the moment for you to communicate your potential. It is the faculty who are making a recommendation to the admissions committee about what they see in you as an artist and your ability to grow within that specific environment. And these are folks who know because they're doing it or they've made a career out of it. With that said, we do also take a look at your larger application, your transcripts, your essays, your video introduction, those types of things. Number one, we want to know that you take your studies seriously. So even if you are pursuing primarily a musical path, it's a very rigorous path, and we want to make sure that you sort of have that commitment to the rigor, but it is the audition being the primary part of the admission decision, sort of and fairly equally weighted with all the other things that include the essays, the recommendations, the transcripts, those types of things. But it is it's and again we're looking for these types of things, but I think the biggest thing is to remember that when you come to the audition, you want to show your unique self. So it's about making choices in what you're presenting at an audition or also in your essay and those types of things that really speak to your unique qualities. Because the sort of that special relationship between the student and the faculty member, for someone who's this world-class artist, they can see that. So you want to sort of once you've done all the preparation work, show up ready to show yourself at the best, but then let your let the art speak at that moment.
And just quickly, very similar to all the other panelists on what we're looking for, a large focus at SCAD is going to be on the academic rigor. So we are looking at, what classes you take in high school. Did you try to take different types of classes? How well did you do? We put a large emphasis on what we call your resume or your list of extracurriculars. What did you do outside the classroom? What were you involved in? Were you a leader in those particular extracurriculars? And really what we're looking for is, can you handle the rigor that comes your way when you're working in majors like ours? And the amount of work that goes on outside the classroom is often more than inside the classroom. So we want to make sure that you can handle the rigor that's coming your way. Large emphasis on interviews as well. Just we want to get to know you and hear your story and what you're doing and what your big goals and plans and dreams are. A lot of times just chatting with you, we can understand your vision and what that looks like. And sometimes it doesn't always translate through an application, or it certainly doesn't translate onto the Common App. So we want you to understand, we want to understand as much as we can about you. And that's what we really base a lot of our decisions. We do have some majors that do require auditions, and then some majors that require some portfolio work as well. But for the most part, we want to know who you are and what you're hoping to do and how we can help you in your journey.
Yeah, and in some ways, I'm actually super glad that we started to talk about portfolios and auditions. It's very salient to all of you in the audience who might be thinking about sort of the arts route. And let me maybe let's sort of like dig into that a little deeper, since the four of you are in the trenches more than we are as college counselors, since you see amazing candidates year in and year out. Um, Let me ask you a question in two parts. What are some essential tips for portfolios and auditions that you might have? And I know they can vary, but just maybe some nuggets that you might have. And then the second part will be, what do you wish more students knew or did when it came to portfolios and auditions? So slightly different, but I think both immensely helpful for those that might be thinking of that route. And again, we can popcorn this in any way.
Yeah, I'll start with the second part. I think the thing that I wish more folks knew was we're not looking for you to do a particular thing. It's not like the idea that it's not important for you to choose the hardest piece, the most impressive type of thing. It's that it's really about making choices that show your unique qualities at your best. So it's that. I think a lot of people feel that it's about going in, or mistaken impression, it's about doing what the people want to see you do. And the people who are watching the audition want to see you at your best. These are people who love, in Juilliard's case, the performing arts, and they're excited about like helping this next generation. So like picking things that are not like, oh, I think they'll like it if I do this, but it's about, you know what? I'm a really lyrical player, and this piece just really like highlights some, particular qualities about my musicianship. Or in your dance audition, maybe when you're doing a solo piece, perhaps one person might be really sort of traditional ballet, the other person may be better modern. Like, and when choosing a monologue, choosing a character that sort of resonates with your life, so you can sort of connect with that emotionally. So there isn't one right choice in the pieces that you're selecting. It's about the right choice for you that shows you at your best. Remembering the fact that those faculty in the room are there because they're excited. Like you've been invited because they believe in you. They saw something in your pre-screening video. So I think that like to me it's about rethinking, yeah, reconceptualizing sort of what the audition is, and it's walking into a room with your best, the things that show you you're the best, knowing that you're trying to connect with an audience, but in this particular moment, it's an audience that's on your side that just happened to be, maybe they sing at the Met Opera or dance somewhere, or you've seen them in theater. Um, I think the other thing is just to start early. So much of this is about planning. I think for our certainly you have Juilliard has a pre-screening process. You have pre-screening materials that are due. We'd love to invite everyone, but there's only so many hours in a day, and so I think it's the earlier you can have these conversations with your teachers, with the people who know you as a creative person, and just start putting the work in early. It's gonna be a much easier process. And I did also want to say to the parents who may not be but artists, this is going to be a little bit different, and I think know that so if I have a scientist and a mathematician as parents, so I can guarantee you auditions were, were foreign to them. So I think know that there's ask questions, take advantage of folks like us who work in these offices. So your counselors at school, but also those of us in the offices. Don't be afraid to ask questions early, and know that we genuinely love this work and we want to help you make the right choices. So start early, be prepared, choose pieces that show you at your best, and remember, when you walk into that room, people are rooting for you. Everyone is doing this because they love this and they want to see you at your best.
I will add to everything that John said. But one thing I would add as an essential tip or like a pro tip, just in preparing for this college process, whether you're preparing your portfolio or your auditions, one thing I recommend to students of all ages is to do your research on who's teaching the classes. Um, I know many years ago, when I was looking at colleges, I wanted to know, who am I going to be in the classroom with? And so I mean, all of our schools are amazing institutions. There isn't one that's better than the other. They're just all very different as they approach it. And our faculty also approach the teaching and the pedagogy of the art making very differently as well. And so I always recommend to students, go to the pages of the schools that you're interested in and see who the faculty are, who's actually teaching. I mean, we could all list off our notable people or our notable alums and people that have come out and they're doing things, but you want to know, like, on your day to day, who are you going to be in the classroom with? And most all of our colleges, I would assume for my colleagues as well, our faculty are still working within the field. They're still doing amazing things. So that's a plus. There are colleges out there that faculty are just focused on research and writing, and maybe they aren't artistically working in the field. And so that might be something that you're interested in. And so I always recommend to students, do your research and see, like, if you're interested in a particular institution, who are the faculty and what type of work that they're working on? Is that something that interests you? Is that an area that you're like, oh, I never thought about that? Or, oh, I would love to take a class that this person is working in this field or performing at this place and doing different things. So that's just one tip that I give to students, to do a little research on who the faculty are and what they're doing and see if that aligns with something that you're interested in.
I'll add a little bit on the audition side, and the thing I wish that students understood or knew is how subjective this process really is. And this is meant to be comforting, because on the one hand, I know that, if you fall in love with this school or that school and you work really hard to get to the level that you're at, the expectation might be that you're going to get an acceptance to that school. But the reality is, some of these programs have very few spots. There are people behind what they're looking for, and there's a whole studio of other students there that you don't have control over. And those faculty could be looking for something very specific that they don't have yet. And it might just not be you that year. And so I tell you that because you're going to be accepted at some schools and you're going to be rejected at some schools, and it shouldn't make you feel like you're any less of an artist or a musician or capable just because it didn't align with the views of the people who happen to be in the room hearing your audition or reviewing your portfolio. And you could think of it in some ways in that if you didn't get into that program, then as long as you're representing yourself, because I also think it's a pro tip to represent yourself in what you're doing. Don't try to play to the audience, try to play to yourself. And if it doesn't align with what they're interested in, then you don't want to go to school there anyway. You want to go to school with people who do see your artistic vision and support that, and can help you get there. So my tips are also like I mirror what John said about picking repertoire. On the technical side, I would definitely say pick something that you can pull out when you're nervous. So you will be nervous when you go in these rooms. It's just the nature of it. You're going to mess something up. If you weren't going to mess something up, you'd have a job already, but you don't have a job, right? You're lucky to go to school so you can get a job. So you can expect things like that. So pick repertoire that you're comfortable with, that you can pull out when you're nervous. And the other tip would be do what you can do to help curb those nerves. So take mock auditions, audition for stuff. Even if you win it or lose it, it doesn't really matter. Just perform for people, get used to walking out in front of people that you don't know and playing things, or presenting your art, or being in those moments where you can be vulnerable and work through it and work through the nerves. Find a local nursing home, play your audition rep for a little recital. They would love you for that. So just find moments to enact your art so that you're comfortable when you need to do it in a moment that's really important.
Just real quickly, because everyone said some pretty amazing points. We just always say, we hear a lot, this just isn't perfect yet, and that's okay. Right? You're coming to college to learn. If you were perfect, you wouldn't need all of us. You would be out earning on your own. So you don't have to be perfect. We're looking for potential, and we're looking for, if we were to give you all the resources we have available to us, what would that look like for you in 4 to 5 years when you came out? So don't please don't think you have to be perfect or have the perfect audition or the perfect portfolio at 16 or 17 years old. That's our job to help you get to that level, and that's really what you're looking for when you're selecting a college.
I really, I promise you all, this is not scripted. These are just like some fantastic pearls of wisdom. This is just invaluable. And maybe as we are sort of thinking about the technical and Josh, I know you talked about jobs, and we'll talk about that in a second. But maybe let me maybe sort of start transitioning to the more philosophical side as to like why even pursue a degree. And this is a two-part question for all of you to think about. Why do you think a BFA, a Bachelor of Music, a Bachelor of Arts, is so important in 2026? With AI disrupting many industries, what skill set does an art education provide that may not be automated by AI? Sort of we're in 2026. Yeah, curious to know what you all think.
I could jump in. We actually offer an applied AI bachelor's here at SCAD. So one of the first creative universities that actually teach it. What we tell people is we have heard this before. I've heard this before. Back when I went to business school, I was told the Excel is going to take away every finance job that ever existed. But we use it. I use Excel every day. I'm sure everyone else does as well. We view AI as a tool to help you be better at what you do. So similar to Photoshop, similar to Adobe, that's been around. We are not big fans of generative AI. We don't believe in using it to produce, but we are looking at how you can use agentic AI and how you, as a designer or a creator, can use these tool sets that are available to you and how you can look at that going forward. So, for us at SCAD, what we're telling parents and students is the industry is rewarding those humans who are creative, who are able to collaborate, who are able to think outside the box and work in these industries that really don't even have words for them yet. And that's what a BFA provides you. It provides you this opportunity to work in these fields that are very subjective and very kind of out there, and for things that a technology that didn't exist a few months ago, and now there's a whole new world and ecosystem built around that. So we tell families that if I were to do life all over again, I would focus on the creative arts and the creative technology because that's what the world is looking towards, is the storytellers and the creators and these innovators. And we all look to these big companies, and the one kind of string that ties them all together is how innovative they are. So AI is a tool that we're going to learn to use, and I'm sure in a couple of years there'll be a new tool that's out there that will all kind of swarm around. But for us, we're focused on those individuals that are looking to be those innovative, creative, collaborative individuals, and that's what you're going to get when you come to a creative university. You're going to be around people who are a similar mindset, who are looking to do these crazy, out of the world things. And when you put them together, it all makes sense, and that becomes one of the biggest companies ever. So that's the advantage of studying in the creative world.
Yeah, I would add on, and just in general, studying in the arts, it develops a lot of different skill sets, no matter what your path may end up being. So whether you study music or theater or art, um, filmmaking, the things that you're learning in the classroom as an art maker, you're really being a creative thinker. You learn resilience, you learn how to collaborate, you learn how to communicate complex ideas. So you're learning a lot of other skill sets other than outside of just the art making, but you're learning other skills that are going to be useful in many things outside of just your artistic career. And so you're taking risks. You're getting feedback or critiques, which you need to have some tough skin sometimes when you're learning to how to get feedback on your work. And you're also learning how to like refine your ideas over time and reiterate things and keep working on things. So these are skills that no matter what profession or what career path you take, whether it is in the artistic realm, which we would hope, but even if it's outside of that area, these are skills that will be helpful no matter what you do as a human in the world. And so I think those are some of the benefits of studying in the arts outside of just being a professional in this field as well.
I would echo everything that's been said. I think as we move forward in an increasingly digital world, it is the arts and things like that that give life meaning. And I think that what we do, even certainly the extra art, extra musical, extra artistic sort of benefits to the education. But I think art is going to become increasingly more important to folks as we sort of automate a lot of things. Um, and to me, especially at the undergraduate space, you should be going to school. You're learning to learn in many respects. Certainly, at a place like Juilliard, to be admitted, it is highly likely that you're going to go out there should you choose to, and you put the effort in. We believe we have the resources to help you make that career. And if you have the love and if you have that talent and you've put the years of hard work into that and you're at that level, you should do that. It is a gift to be able to find the thing that you love and to excel at that. And life can be it's short at times, and so I think if you are lucky enough to found something that you love, and you have the skills with which to go out there and make a career doing it, and if you're admitted to Juilliard, you do. And I think so. Like, take that leap because that is a gift. The universe has given you something, and you should run with it and make the world a better place with that. Obviously, different chapters in one's life, you may be called to do different things. Whether I think we all sort of reinvent ourselves every decade or so. But for folks who go down, get a Juilliard degree and do go into music, dance, or drama and make a living, there are also those folks who maybe, in their early 30s decide, like settling down, I'm going to have kids, I'm going to go do something else just because that fits the life that I want to live. But here you've done something that you have learned to learn and to execute at such a high level. There is so much value in being able to choose to do something and to do it so well and to connect with people and develop all these skills that my colleagues have already spoken about. And that is transferable. I know world-class pianists who've gone on to be world-class surgeons. One of my best friends was a tuba player and now is a constitutional law expert. And it's like and it is not because they had to make that. They had creative paths before, but then even later on, because they had that skill set. When my friend asked the admissions representative from the Ivy League Law School that they got into. The admissions reps, well, you had great LSAT scores, and we knew that if you could sit in a practice room and play the tuba, you could certainly sit in a law library and learn those things. So I think even when you're going the conservatory route, at a place like Juilliard, probably most of our students are going to go on and thrive in the performing arts. They're at that level, they have that discipline, and we're proud of the fact that we have the resources and training to help folks do that. But there is even at folks at such a high level, there are other folks who come to different moments in their lives and decide to do something else. But knowing that you did it, you followed your passion, you are developing your heart and your soul, and then also just developing your love of learning and the ability to be able to tackle anything and connect with the folks around you.
Yeah, and I'm really not going to add much. I loved, Siobhan, your answer about the social skills, really, because that's, we develop a lot of those in the arts for sure. I would say from the practical standpoint, if you think about it, a lot of us went to school to do majors that we don't do, right? So to John's point, you go to school to learn how to learn. So you might as well be doing it in a field that you're passionate about, that you're getting applicable training in, so that if you want to go down a very applied avenue, you have specific training to do that thing. But then also to these points, and the thing I was going to bring up, and then maybe a lot of students don't want to hear this just yet because you want to go to music school so that you can be in the orchestra or you can do the applied art. But there are tons of jobs out there for the people who understand these industries and who have been part of these industries. I would argue that probably everybody in this room has a background in the thing that we are sitting here in front of you talking about. So it opens up a lot of doors even beyond just the applied practice. And that's just because we went and studied the applied practice. We understand how it works. So you're opening a lot of doors just by studying the thing that you even though it feels narrow. Maybe parents, the parents that are not artists, feels narrow. You're opening a lot of doors.
Yeah, and what I'm hearing too is that it's incredibly relevant and versatile. So that is incredibly helpful. And maybe let's sort of speak on that. Let's maybe take an even longer look ahead. And I suspect this is more for the parents and the guardians in the audience who might be thinking about this already. But currently, we're hearing so much chatter conversations around the return of investment in higher ed, a return of investment in a degree. Maybe pointedly, how are your institutions preparing and supporting your current musicians, artists, creative individuals for a future career?
I can, I'll jump in. That is our primary focus is if you love doing this and you tell us this is how you want your life to be focused on one of these creative industries, that is our focus is how we help you get that career. Things that we're really focused on is bringing industry to our students. So we have a whole arm of the university that focuses on creative partnerships. So we work with Delta and Google and Microsoft and Disney, and our students get to work on these real live projects with these actual companies. Like think of it like an internship, but just physically here on campus. But the other thing that we've really been focusing on is building out those social and networking skills. Again, you may love what you do and you may be excellent at it, but how do you tell your story to someone else that may not understand that? So we built a whole communication studio for our students. We have things like a fake elevator on campus where you can practice your elevator pitch and fake airline seats. So if you're sitting next to someone, you can practice networking on a plane all the way down to a mock cafe so you can practice your lunch interview skills or your dinner interview skills. So we find that our students have amazing portfolios and are absolutely so talented at what they do, but sometimes telling that story of who you are and why you did this, that's what we really focus on to help prep our students. And that's where we find that greatest return on investment is because we're able to get you in front of people who may not be creative. Maybe the company you want to work for sends HR and HR doesn't want to look at your portfolio. They want to ask you behavioral questions. Well, how do you handle that? Or you were planning on a panel interview and now it's a one-on-one interview. So we mock all these different social skills to prep our students to help them be successful so that when you do get that internship or you do get that job opportunity, or even if you bump in someone at line or you're walking in the park, you're able to network and have that social skill to really elevate you. My one takeaway I tell every parent is I wish I could promise you that every job opportunity is going to come from a job board or someone coming to campus. But a lot of this is networking and just being in the right place and telling your story and sharing what you're doing with someone who knows someone who knows someone. And that's a lot how this creative world works.
And I'll add onto Steve at CalArts is very similar. Again, it's about making those connections. It's about the networking. But we also, in our Center for Life and Work, or for lack of a better word, Career Services Center, we call it our Center for Life and Work because it really is helping our students understand what it means about being in a career that doesn't have a single linear path. There's many different directions that you could go. Some of our students go directly into the creative industry. Some are building their own independent practice. Some are very interdisciplinary and they're blending their art with technology, with entrepreneurship, with education, with so many different things. And so artists aren't just one field. Sometimes they're doing multiple jobs, and that's what they're choosing to do. They're choosing to be multidisciplinary in their career as well. And so our Center for Life and Work is helping prepare students in, as Steve said, learning how to talk about your work, how you present it, how you're building those relationships. And so I think making sure that your students and you as students are really finding ways to make yourself open and accessible to that, which as a creative, sometimes that can be a little intimidating. You know how to do your thing, your craft, your work, and perform, but it's the other things that you're like, oh, I don't know how to talk about that. Those are the things that our institute is helping you do that as early as your first year. You're not waiting until like your last year, your senior year to start developing those skills. We start with our incoming freshmen and getting them connected to our Center for Life and Work so that they can continue to build on those skills while they're also working on their artistic path.
And I would say that return on investment it's an important question in this day and age, and I think our alumni speak to the value of that investment. So I think the if you're looking for proof of concept, alums are that proof of concept. They are the folks who received the education and went out there and took advantage of the school's network and built a life for themselves. So I think that at Juilliard, we're in a unique position to be able to really offer students the experience of what it means to be a professional artist, whether performing in the stages of Lincoln Center, professional productions from everything from ballet to opera to to dance, things like that. So just the nature of what we do is it is professional, and so I think students really understand what it means to live and breathe that life. And I think being at sort of the center of a global hub, and whether that's the performing arts community that we're a part of on campus, but also that alumni network across the globe, it really that speaks to sort of this what's happening. We're providing experiences in the school that are the professional level, and then you're accessing a network that spans the globe. And obviously, we do have a center for career services and things like that. And then as you're thinking about what type of school to go to as well, just being in New York, there are a lot of opportunities for students to sort of like to plant their roots within and build that professional career while they're still in school.
I'll say at Oberlin, we're definitely not teaching elevator pitches. But I love that, Steve. Actually, you're very like, we're gonna dedicate, time and space to that. I kind of love. I would say at Oberlin, it feels a little bit more, honestly, like what Siobhan was describing in terms of interdisciplinary connections that students are making and allowing an openness to that. I mean, we train students in a very pre-professional manner in a very direct way, but it's not in a restrictive environment. So we often have students that are multidisciplinary or have interests in academic areas and are trying to understand how maybe academics and culture and the arts are intersecting and what they can do with that and how they can impact the world in some way. And so it's really about providing space and opportunity to explore that. Nurturing that is a huge component of that. So to not let a student feel like their ideas are not valid or valued or can be explored or should be explored. And it's honestly, I think a lot of that comes from the type of faculty that we have. So the tenured model, the residential model, the faculty who have dedicated themselves to undergraduate pedagogy and know who you are and where you're coming from and where you're headed and what you want to accomplish, I think is a really important thing. And that peer network, the alumni network, is a really important thing. And some of this, I mean, I speak from some experience in that I lived with a faculty member for many years who would get phone calls from people in the industry asking if they had former students that were interested in positions. And they would say, oh, yeah, I have a kid that graduated maybe 10 years ago, but they're free right now, and I think they're going to do this. And they help you get to where you need to be. So I think a lot of what you're investing in an institution is not just the training, but it's the people that you're carrying with you throughout your career.
I couldn't think of a better way to wrap that up. I think it's incredibly, I hope all of you on the audience have felt that enthusiasm, but also the relevance of an arts degree in this day and age. So I'm looking at the clock and I see that pesky little timer that says 47 seconds left. So I think with that, before we all get shut out, Siobhan, Steve, John, and Josh, thank you for this incredibly illuminating. And I'm sure the audience here will have some nuggets to digest and to think about of the amazing opportunities that exist at each and every one of your campuses. So really, thank you for that. And with that, I give you back the gift of time. You get to enjoy your evening with 1 minute left. But again, thank you all for coming on behalf of St. Anne's, BFS, Packer, and Berkeley Carroll. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.